What's going on, Undrafted family? Welcome to
What's
episode
going on,
one of the
everyone?
Undrafted podcast. My name is Kevin,
I'm Danny.
And I'm Coach Mel.
and we are your Undrafted podcast crew. Man, I can honestly say that I'm ecstatic to be here. I'm very happy, very nervous, trying to get the jitters out the way for our
Like
first
pre-game,
episode.
like the pre-game.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the beginning of a real basketball game all over again, man. But I'm honestly excited to share this stage with you guys, and hopefully, what we have in store with guests, with our vision to where we want to take this. It could definitely take it to the next level, and hope to reach a good crowd and kind of share what we've been through, and we can be that positive energy towards others. Definitely, I hope you guys have had a great week, and just kind of share a little bit on how you got to where you're at right now, whether it be in life or just in the podcast. How it came to be that us three connected.
I just want to say I'm really happy to be here. All of this new stuff is new knowledge, so I'm really happy to be learning and just be absorbing. New growth. And so it's just really cool to be with family, with my brother Kev and my husband Danny. And it's just like a lot of fun to just be able to bring together a passion and just dig deeper together, be better people, be better coaches, be better trainers, and just be able to continue to be that domino effect within our athletes and our family members and friends. And I think this is just a great way to hang out. And we just want this a great place to be for y'all. And we just want to say thank you guys for your support. And I'm just really happy to be here with my fam.
Yeah, ditto, man. I mean, you guys said it all. I mean, anytime that us Southwesterners can link up and make something like this happen, it's going to be something very, very special. So I'm excited. Our passions all kind of match. So, it's a no-brainer for us to get together and do this thing. So I'm ready to do this, man.
No, yeah, I definitely think that you guys both hit it right on cue. I mean, we definitely have a passion, and I feel like this podcast is just a beginning, a beginning step on what we really want to do and how we want to cement, our knowledge and what we've learned so far to help the new generation grow. But honestly, I'm very excited. Like I said, very nervous. We've planned a lot, and like I said, I'm just really excited and looking forward to this new journey with you guys.
Awesome, brother. I'm glad to hear. And then thank you again for bringing this all together and just being able to host us. And we really appreciate you. The next part of our show is something fun that we were able to do. And it's called Los Hot Topics, Tópicos Calientes in the sport world. In the sport world, though, this week alone, there's a lot of new updates, sadly, from COVID, but to a lot of positive, exciting new contracts, extensions, new trades, and much more. So at this time, I'll be able to give you guys a hot topic, and then we'll talk about it for a little bit, and we'll move on to the next chime. So the first question is, what are your thoughts of LiAngelo Ball's new destination to the Detroit Pistons for 1 year, and the Ball family's success, which also includes LeVar and Tina?
I mean, for me, I'm definitely happy. It's for me, I feel like everybody's been hating on him. Like, yeah, he took some sunglasses. He could have afforded them. You should have probably just paid for them. But that being said, like, I feel like at the end of the day, they're crucifying this kid for, come on, he's a kid. Like, let him live. It's time to let it go. But I'm happy for him first and foremost.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really agree. I just the fact is, I feel like it's just competition. I feel like they're not really putting that China incident on his resume. I just think it's more so they're just kind of scared to see what the competition, they just feel like maybe he hasn't played the best competition. But I'm excited. I'm saying, like I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of the BBB, but honestly, I respect it. I feel like, having 3 of your sons in the NBA, not a lot of people could say that. So I'm excited as an NBA fan. I'm excited. I'm ecstatic to see, just the NBA is going to be crazy this year. Just anybody can win it. There's so many teams that can compete, especially in the West. but I'm excited. I'm excited for the kid. I think he's going to be, he's going to be solid. And I mean, they're young. They got a lot to learn. So I'm excited.
I think that's great input. I do agree with you on the aspect of what's going to happen. I think we're just going to let him do all the talking, by showing us, seeing what he's going to bring to the table. Same with LaMelo Ball. And I think it's just going to be exciting and fun. And I think one cool and respectable thing that I have for the Ball family that a lot of people may not know unless you watch the show on Facebook. It's called Ball in the Family. And one of the things is their mom, Tina Ball. She used to be one of the PE teachers.
Shout out to PE teachers.
Yeah, she used to be one of the PE teachers to where, she had a big contribution not only to the kids, but the community and much more. And after her stroke, I mean, she's been such a big influence and such a big impact to the boys. And I think that's a fuel. I would play for my mom like that. Somebody who is respected and cares. And so, and I see also that we have our last question here very soon. And the last question we have on our hot topic for today is we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to talk football now. The news this past Sunday was that the whole Bronco lineup, QB lineup, was taking COVID tests. And so they were all not suspended, but they were postponed to play that Sunday. And so they had to bring an interim QB by Kendall Hinton. And I was able to catch a little bit of the game to see how he handled pressure, how he was able to handle, such a different position, such a different mentality on man. And the thing is, before I even continue with what I'm saying, he's a wide receiver. So we already know he has nice feet. So with that being said, he was able to say, hey, what can I do with my skill level at the moment? And what can I contribute to the Denver Broncos team now? So what do you guys think about that?
As a Broncos fan, first and foremost, I would have to say guts.
First and foremost, that's
guts
sad.
Is the main thing. It is. It's sad, but guts is the main thing. Can't say much more.
Guts. Okay.
No, yeah, I agree. It takes guts, but I feel like it shows the level of talent. Not anybody can just go out there and say hike and drop back and throw 50 yards. So, I mean, it just shows that, even some QBs that we ourselves may disrespect that's in the league, it's not easy. It's not easy when you got, 6'8" dudes that can run a 40-yard dash in under 4 seconds.
Yeah, and it goes to show, like, there's mad people, like, everybody knows, like, people back in the day that used to say, like, oh, man, I would have just done this. I would have just done that. Mm-hmm. Like, there's levels to this. Like, you gotta, you gotta pay respect where it's due. So that being said, at the end of the day, a pro's a pro.
Even at the professional level.
Yeah, a pro's a pro.
Exactly. Even at the professional level, there's levels.
Well, great input today, fellas. This week, there was a lot going on too, but just because time is running a little short and we do want to be able to give our guests all the time in the world, we do want to let you guys know that if you guys have any hot topics you want us to touch on, just go ahead and DM us on our Twitter or on our Instagram pages. So that way we can go ahead and connect with you and just talk about what you like. So that way we can go ahead and enjoy that moment with you all. At this moment now, we're going to go ahead and pass it to Danny. And that is all for my part. Thanks you guys for joining with me.
All righty. Today's our first episode, should I say, episode is brought to you guys or sponsored by Smiles Missionary Foundation. Okay. This foundation focuses on offering youth and adults the possibility of better education, access to essential medical care, basic essential nutrition for their growth, and a bevy of other things. Everybody needs essential medical care. So shout out to that group. Shout out to Pastor Gustavo Squarzone, to that church, that missionary group. Thank you guys so much for what you guys do. Moving on, we are going to go ahead and bring in our guest. I'm very, very excited. His name is Coach Dimitrius Lovett. He is from Elyria, Ohio. He's a basketball coach at Lakewood High School. He's also a skills developmental coach. Primeletics is his company. We have a lot of questions about that for you later. He played basketball at Cleveland State, and he also played his high school ball at Elyria High School. Coach Dimitrius Lovett.
Man, I appreciate y'all for having me on. This the first show?
I'm excited. This is our first show. I'm very, very excited, bro.
Hey, come on. I got these pregame jitters going right now.
Hey, you and me both. Nice.
Hey, I'm loving this.
It's so great to have you here, Coach. Sorry, I was mute on accident, but I just wanted to say, hey, what's up? It's really great to have you here with us, and we're just ready to get on the roll. If you want to, Kevin, you are next, so let's go ahead and anything else that you wanted to ask him before we jump in?
Yeah, no, I'm just excited. Well, we're very humbled to have you on. And, just, how you said we got it's like a pregame jitters all over again, where it's like, not trying to mess up or nothing like that. But, I know we spoke a little bit, through text message, but definitely, very humbled to have you here and just kind of like pick your brain and get all the knowledge that we gain from your impressive career that you've had so far. So I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you guys. Hey, this is humbling, especially being on the first show. Usually the first show, y'all kind of introduce yourselves and let everybody get to know you guys a little bit. I like it.
Thank you, sir. Well, yeah. So our first question that we're kind of trying to make it kind of a tradition on our show is asking our guests, what does the word undrafted mean to you? So when you see the word undrafted, whether it be on a billboard or whether it be sports related, what does that word and resemble to you?
To me, right off the bat, that's counted out. Like when you think undrafted, you think counted out. Like if you weren't good enough to get drafted, you're undrafted, you're counted out. No one believes in you, That's like that whole underdog story, that word is just right away when you guys ask me, boom, counted out right away. And like, okay, underdog, here goes the underdog story that I'm about to show you now.
Okay. And you felt that at obviously multiple levels growing up, that counted out kind of like feeling. How did you kind of overcome that? Or what is your mindset whenever you kind of, when you get that?
So I'm a weird dude. Like as far as like the norm, I kind of like stray away from it. Like seriously. So like, whatever everybody else did, I always needed to do something more than them. So, when you're counted out and you kind of get counted out, like you need to do more to prove that you belong and or that you're better than what's already there,
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
On that same question, what the boys just asked, I wanted to ask you, did you ever encounter one of your athletes deal with this mental block? And how did you help them overcome that word undrafted, or like how you said, not worthy or, not chosen?
Perfect. So I got a kid right now. So he's a freshman at a junior college in Utah. So he's home for the month because of COVID. And they're giving them Thanksgiving break off, this new Thanksgiving break. The kids get a month off in school. This is great for him. So he's one of the most athletic kids I've ever met. He's highly skilled. And, every time they would talk about him in high school, they would talk about all these kids around the Cleveland area. They would talk about this kid. Paragraphs this long. And then when it came to him, it would have this much to say. It was like, oh, Nate Mills, blah, 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 6'6" senior from Lakewood, Ohio. Boom, that's it. But everybody else, they're talking about how spectacular they are and how they're this and that and, how their career is amazing, how they're going to be like all state and stuff. So, I talk with him on a daily basis about being counted out. No, I was just going to say, like, for high school kids, it's different now, especially because of the social media and stuff. Like, how it is, like, 10 years ago, the newspaper was all you really had to know about something. So if you didn't look in the newspaper, you didn't have to hear any of the outside noise. Now you got Twitter, you got people posting on their stories. He follows other people. So, they can see like who's the top kids around the area, whether you want to see it or not. You just flick on Instagram and stuff and scroll through and then boom, you see your name not on the list.
Okay. So then with him being the example, like how is he taking it so far? Like, guiding him in that aspect? Like what have you kind of like said to him from your experience as a D1 player? Like, what have you given him to be like, hey, I hope you can eat this confidence a little bit. Hopefully it helps.
It's different because, you know, I don't want to push all my experiences on him because I want him to have his own. But the kind of thing I just basically tell him is and show him, you know, for prime example, like some of these college guys from these mid-major schools, I mean, he sees them and knows them. Like CJ McCollum is from around our area, so he's about an hour away from Cleveland, his hometown, and you know, he was one of the shortest guys on his team in high school. I think he was like 5'10" when he graduated or something like that. I'm sure y'all all seen the pictures, but he was like 5'10", and I just had this convo today. Like he was one of those dudes that, you know, hey, if that guy gets taller, he'll be the real deal. Gets taller, gets 6'4", 6'5" in college, boom, makes it to the NBA after he has his moment. But I mean, just with him, like I show him examples, but then I just train him and I tell him that his game will do the talking. I mean, last year he had the best year that you can ever have. So I think now that he's getting older and he's starting to see his work ethic show on the court and his craft, then he's starting to believe in it more and more every day. So it kind of makes it easier for me. So I try, you know, I tell him a little bits and pieces, but I don't want to push my whole story. Like, hey, I played D1. Like, listen to me, like all the time. I try not to be that guy.
Yeah. No, that's helpful. Thank you for that because, you know, as high school coaches ourselves and more like we have young minds as well. We want to be able to, like you said, not push our experience and be the realist and hear them out too and how we can help their journey. But thank you for answering that question for me.
Yes. Our next question. I know you mentioned earlier that you sent multiple kids to school on scholarship. Mm-hmm. What is that feeling? And is that the goal at the end of the day?
So I sit down with all my kids pretty much, and or I'll text them or whatever. You know, I try to establish that connection. But I try to, hey, what do you want to do in life? Like, what's your goal? And then so we get the big part of it done first, and then we kind of trickle down. So, all right, do you want to play? Do you want to go to college? Yes. All right, do you want to play basketball in college? You kind of want to be a student, and then we kind of, hey, what's the day like for an athlete, or what's the day like for a regular student? And you know, do you want to have a life, or do you kind of want to be consumed in this sport? And you know, because I mean that's a part of it, and that's the realization. Like a lot of kids say, "Oh yeah, I want it," but then they get there, they don't realize they're checking in 60 hours a week to this sport, and then they're like, "You know what? I'm gonna go the other way and just be a regular student." So, so we kind of talk about that. Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to say the amount of hours that you got to put in, a lot of these kids do not realize, just to echo what you were saying.
Well, because they see all the highlights and stuff on TV, so it's easy for them to say, oh, yeah, I want this because I want to be on SportsCenter, or I want to have 1,000 likes on Instagram. So they see that part, but they don't see the grind part of it. And then we just kind of trickle down. So if they want to play, if they want to play basketball and get a scholarship, then I say, okay, you know what? I'm going to treat you like whatever division you want to play in. Then I go, what division do you want to play in? And they mostly all tell me D1. So I'm like, all right, so I'm going to treat you like a D1 player. Like I'm going to be on you all the time about this and that. And, you know, every little bit I'm going to be nitpicking you. And then if they tell me that they don't want to play basketball, they're just enjoying this experience, then I try to teach them, okay, like let's talk about school and how to balance your time when you get to college. I kind of stay one step ahead with them, so that way when they get there, they're not shocked whether they're playing a sport, whether they're not. And you know, if they do want to play, like the goal is to get them a scholarship, unless they have to take a different route.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
No, I do feel like you hit it right on the. I feel like you hit it right on the head when it came to saying that all these kids kind of see the ESPN highlights and things like that, and I feel that's the influence that social media has, so I feel like, when they see how much work, these guys have to put in and stuff like that, that does kind of, alter your state of mind and being like, man, do I really want this? And I feel like, I like the way that, how you put, you're going to treat them accordingly to what you want that level to be. And I feel like I mean, I feel like that's a fantastic strategy that you have because, you know, a lot of kids, they like to be babied, you know, and but if you want to get to that level, I mean, it takes a whole different level. And I mean, you being in the East Coast, you know, definitely there's no babying over there.
No, it's a different breed, especially like we're 10 minutes away from Cleveland. So these guys on the side of the Cleveland now, especially the east side of Cleveland, because we're technically west side, the guys on the east side of Cleveland, you know, they're breeding guys like you know, Terry Rozier came out of there. And like now there's a whole slew of D1 players that are coming out of there, and these kids are high profile. And and they want that life because they see them on you know, Instagram and Twitter with the highlight tapes with the little baby playing in the background or the future playing in the background, and they get juiced up and they're like, "Oh, I want that life." Like, no, do you realize how much working out goes into that life?
Yeah.
I agree with Kevin on how he hits on the spot too, because I'm not sure. I was about to ask you my next question, which I can get to it now to kind of tie both, is how long have you been working in this industry? And what I mean by that is as a coach. So I'm guessing you're an athletic director at your high school or a coach. Are you also a teacher? Because I could tell, I don't know what it is of what you do at Lakewood. Is that the name of your high school again?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So then I just wanted to ask because you're the type of teacher that seems like I'm still going to devote myself to you. Just don't waste my time or that level of time. So I can see that, you know, you're straight to it. You're honest with them, but it's still an impact and they can still change their mind halfway depending on the relationship they have with you, you know? And so I think that was awesome. And so I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your background, what you do at Lakewood and much more.
I appreciate that. So, all right. So so the industry, I guess the player development and training and stuff, I stopped playing in 2013 and I had another year of college left. So I actually started the first year, I started training my best friend that still played on the team. And he was already good, but we just worked on simple, like little things that needed to be touched up. And he was my first person I worked with, and it kind of worked. And then so I was like, you know what? I'm done. Like I just did it for fun. And then the next year I kind of did it with a couple guys that were still on the team. Then I walked away from it completely and I started my corporate job after I graduated in 2014.
Okay.
So started my corporate job in 2017. I quit my corporate job and I started coaching full time. And then I started substitute teaching. Okay. And so I still substitute teach now because my business and my business takes up a lot of time. So I don't want to devote myself fully to teaching, but I do like the substitute aspect, and I do long-term jobs. So, you know, I'll be in the same classroom for like anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks to 6 months at a time. So,
okay. You're involved.
So I'm I don't want any part of the schooling. I love the coaching aspect, the training aspect. But the teaching definitely helps because now you're exposed to this generation of kids and you get to see how they think and, you know, talking to the kids in the classroom, like just to hear their stresses and worries on a daily basis about like homework. And I mean, I have freshmen sometimes that are worried about what college they're going to. I'm like, what? Like,
what?
You don't even know what shoes you're gonna wear tomorrow. Like, let alone like what college. Relax,
bro. Focus on biology right now.
Make sure you ace. Make sure you ace all these tests before you start worrying about like Stanford and Yale and stuff.
All right. But that was my question. You did answer it. And I thank you for the background too. So that way we get to know you and where you came from. I wanted to ask you, do you think your corporate job pushed you into your passion and kind of like wanted to build your own business, like as a coach player development?
The corporate, yes and no, because I think the corporate job, like sometimes I think about it, I'm like, man, I wasted all this time. If I could have had those 3 years, I could have been doing more. But to be good at like the business aspect of owning my company, I needed to see what it was like on the corporate level. The corporate level did push me to get started faster than I probably would have anticipated, just because you're, you know, in corporate world, you're making good money, you kind of get comfortable. Yeah. But, you know, we had a salary freeze and then our company was getting acquired. So it was just like the perfect time to make the transition.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good news that it transitioned well for you and you got the experience. So that's
Yeah, I can't
awesome.
complain.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We got your next question for you from Mr. Kevy Kev.
Yeah, I think we talked. I think we talked a little bit about this question when I had texted you, and a little bit about the pros and cons of being a Division I basketball player, and kind of like what that resembled to you as when we were in college, our dean would always tell us, you're a student before you're an athlete.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's tough. It's tough, especially if you're playing a hefty schedule. You're getting all these, you got to get your lift in, you got to get your shots up, you got to get the games, your classes, your personal training, your nutrition. It's so much that goes. I mean, you're basically a pro. So my
Yes.
question, just kind of, from your personal experience, what were your pros and cons of that D1 lifestyle?
The cons, you get ripped away from that senior year summer going into high school right away. So I think I graduated May 31st, and I want to say that the second 6 weeks classes started like June like 20th. So we had to move in like June 14th. So I had like literally 2 weeks where I got to have summer. So that was the biggest con, because now like all my friends are like, oh my gosh, we just went to the river and just sat there all night and talked and stuff. Like, you missed out. I'm like, I get it. Like, I get that I missed out. And you miss like I'm going through the cons first because there are more pros. Like the cons, like you do miss a lot of that college just lifestyle. Like, you got friends that come up to you.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go to the mall? You want to go eat? No, I got practice right now, or I got study tables right now. But I mean, that's really it. Like the pros, like you're playing at the highest level possible. Like you have a better chance. So that door now is that narrow between you and trying to get to the NBA, if that's your goal. And that's everybody's goal. When you leave, when you get your haircut at the barbershop and they know you're going D1, hey, you going D1, right? I mean, you're going to the pros, right? And you like, hey, I'm trying. So, you're at the highest level you can play at. You're now getting exposed to the best players in like the country. Like there's only so many, I think it's like 0.01%. You're part of the 7% of college athletes, but then you're part of the 0.01% that play Division I or something. So then you're exposed to that. I mean, they take care of you. You get food and meal plans and stuff taken care of for you. Oh, one more kind, but you stay all year round. Like you don't leave. You get about 4 weeks off the whole year. You get the 2 weeks between the spring semester and the first semester, or the first 6 weeks of summer classes. So that's 2 weeks right there, and that depends on when your last final is. So it might even be a week and a half. You get 2 weeks if your professors give them to you early, and then you get 1 week at the end of the summer, right before the fall semester starts. You get 2 days for Christmas. You get Christmas. No, you get Christmas Eve and Christmas, because we have a game on the 23rd, and then you got to be back the 26th, and then you kind of get a spring break depending on if you make it to the March Madness tournament, the NIT tournament, or you don't make a tournament at all. Mm-hmm. So you don't get that much time off. But I mean, the pros, I've never been around that many kids before that like knew me. Like kids were coming up to me outside, and I was seeing people around the community, season ticket holders. They pop up everywhere. And that's my first time where I learned that even though you don't know people, people know you. So you always got, like, whenever you step outside that house, you got to carry yourself the right way, because people are always watching. I mean, you get treated good. Like, I can't really complain about like the D1 basketball lifestyle. It's a lot, but it's a lot that you have to work for, but it's worth it, honestly.
So that leads me to my next point. People believe, or there might be a myth, especially at our at our college, people really talked about, hey, these guys are catered. They can have people do their homework.
We went to a
They
small
get,
university.
they don't have to do toes. Yeah. So we've heard it all, but I'm gonna ask you this moment of truth. All right, we don't have to be that truthful. But that being said, is that true? Is that a real thing? And did you ever
the privilege?
experience it?
No way. Like that's the number one thing I hate. And when people said it in college, nothing made all of us matter, because they're like, oh, you guys get, like, the other teams, they would talk about how we got unlimited Nike gear. And then they would talk about, kids around campus would talk about how we got catered to. And I'm like, first of all, there's 3 months of the year where you're not even here. Actually, 4 months, because you get June, July, August, and then you get December off. There's 4 months of the year where you're not even here. We're still here. And in the summertime, I'm waking up at 5:15 to be at a 6 a.m. workout. And in the summer, I got 3-day workouts. Plus, I have at least 2 classes a day. So I'm like, I have a full day. Like, there is no privilege. Like, everything. And plus, if we win, like if we make it to the tournament, the school gets money. So, those dorms that you like living in, like we pay for that essentially. Like, but I pay for it. I pay for it in running and making layups and making shots. Like, no,
man, you hit it right on the spot. You hit it right on the spot with that last one, huh?
Man,
you're a donor to the school. Yeah. You're a donor to the school.
And that's what they don't understand. I'm like, all right, so you don't understand like how hard these workouts are, how much I'm working out a day, how burnt out my body is. And yes, I get treated nicely, but it's because I'm doing something. I'm providing a service for the school to help you guys out.
Okay, you heard it there, folks. There's zero privilege out there. Thank you for answering that.
No problem.
That's crazy. It's just crazy to hear your testimony out loud from a real D1 player, just to be able to be so honest and real with it, because I think kids need to understand it's not a fantasy fairy tale story. To be a D1 player, it's the commitment, the hard work, and the dedication, like you said. It pays off. And so before we get a little deeper into the next segment, we do want to ask you a fun question, and it is, do you have any basketball nicknames? Do you have what people call you or anything fun?
So my like during my young times in high school, like my freshman year. So I was a manager, but I got to practice on the team. So,
nice.
So I have asthma. So they used to call me D Asthma. Like that was my nickname, D Asthma, for the whole year.
Mean. What?
Oh man.
Okay, but that's interesting.
Hey, I'm glad you felt confident enough to share that with us.
Not anything due to, because I know you said street ball had some influence in your career. Yeah. Any street ball nicknames? Anything that the folks can hold on to rather than D Asthma? We don't. There goes D Asthma. We don't want to do that.
They call me Tree. So Tree carried over from me being like young, and then when I got to college, one of my coaches randomly started calling me Tree just because they said I was just lanky. So
okay.
So it was just Tree. I didn't have any.
I like that one.
Tree. And did you have a favorite street ball I guess player? Hot sauce, I know you mentioned, but that's everyone's go-to. Mine is Headache. I loved Headache back in the day. But did you have one?
Man, really, I like big Escalade, man. That was
man. You took mine. I was about to say that too.
Escalade, Jackson.
Love me some Escalade.
Yeah, he was a bug for sure.
Man, wasn't he though? Big body coming through the lane. Woo.
He can move.
Yeah,
he can
crazy.
Spin, he can euro. He can do everything.
Before it was even popular, like man, and one mixtape. You don't know about those kids? Go watch those right now.
ASAP.
Yeah. RIP Escalade though.
Yeah, for sure. RIP. So now that we transition to the half part of the show and then we end with something fun with you, the next question that we have, since a lot of us have obviously been affected by this good old COVID, what is the biggest COVID challenge you've had to encounter this year in your programs, and how did you overcome it? Like, how did you inspire us so that way we can learn something too, to keep our cool and our patience as well. So, yeah.
The biggest, whew, I would say mentally trying to do something new. And I touch back on this a lot, like even with my kids. I just had a talk with them yesterday about mental stuff. But like basketball is my go-to. So now I can't really play it. So now what can I do? So I think I went on the most walks this year during COVID that I've ever done in my life, especially like that initial like lockdown phase. Like, I mean, I went walking around Lakewood and I seen like boutiques and shops that I've never seen. I was picking up books and actually reading a little bit more than I'm used to, just because I don't have the time. So the biggest challenge was getting out of my own head, like not looking at this as a negative thing, but looking at it as a positive thing. Like, okay, now I get to relax. I get to give my body some rest. I get to give my mind some rest. I don't like just completely shut it off from thinking about everything that I have to do. I think awesome. Tapping into that mental side is a big key of life.
Yeah, I've had to deal with that for a while now, but I mean, I do understand that, like you said, like we can find growth in the negative point of view as well, and that's really awesome that we can adjust, that we have the ability to adjust, and that's awesome. So thank you for that, for answering. We do have our next transitioning question is, whose is this one? Kevin, my brother Kevin.
Yeah. My question was, just sticking on the same kind of topic as you, as now being a player development coach, what's kind of been the hardest thing for you transitioning, from being a player to now actually being a coach or a teacher, an educator, a mentor? What's kind of been the biggest thing for you? I know, as we've all been athletes before, the older you get, you kind of lose a little bit of it. So when you're, you may be playing in a run or whatever, and you're trying to do something, but your body tells you something different. And sometimes these kids don't really know what you had. So to me, I could say that personally, that's kind of something that's hard to transition, but for you, what's been kind of like the hardest thing the toughest part about transitioning from, being a D1 player, which takes a lot, to now developing these kids to get to where you were at?
I would definitely say you're right about that. Like your body just responds differently. You put in so many hours to get, like, I didn't have natural God-given athleticism, but God gave me a work ethic. So I used it to get athleticism and to get athletic. So, I can't jump as high as I did, or when I go to shoot a jump shot, like shooting wasn't my natural thing. So my form looked jacked up. So the kids look at you kind of crazy sometimes, but that's definitely one of the hardest parts. But a big part of like that's hard to transition it is because now I'm starting to realize how much you learn when you coach. Like I'm even getting to the point where I think that we might even start making the high school varsity players coach the youth kids, just because it gives you a different light. And if you could, like, the earlier you can learn that stuff, the better off it'll help you. And you have to learn how to really break down the game and explain it. Because when you're playing, if you understand the game, if you have a high basketball IQ, you can kind of direct people like, hey, follow my lead. I'm gonna get you here, or you just, hey, get to that spot. I'm gonna get you the ball, or whatever. Or you explain something real quick. But now you have to have the patience, and you have to have the understanding, because it's like the old Nelson Mandela quote. It's like, talk to a man in a language he understands, and you speak to his head. Talk to a man in a language that he speaks, and you speak to his heart. So it's like that. Like I try to make sure I'm with the kids, like I'm explaining the way that they learn and they need to hear it. So explaining the details so that I can tell them one time is the biggest thing that I try to accomplish. Like if I can make sure that I'm hitting it on the head, like the first time that I say it, and I get all the details out the way, then I feel accomplished. That's been the hardest part because I'm so used to just doing it and putting people in those spots that, I would kind of halfway explain it, but now I make sure I go fully in the detail.
Yeah, sometimes as an athlete, it's easy to just be like, all right, I'm going to come off this screen and hit you in the corner, just stay there. But as a coach, you kind of have to understand, okay, well, you're going to come off the screen, you're going to have this read, that read, this read. There's a lot of things. But to you, it may be so simple, but to somebody else, it's tough. So I feel like I definitely understand where you're coming from in the aspect of, going from that player mindset to now being the educator and getting that kid, to build his IQ and his confidence. So thank you for that.
No problem.
Now, Coach, you've achieved a level of success I'm sure that many people are trying to get to. Who would you say is your biggest backbone or your biggest support and helped you get to where you've gotten to today?
My mom, definitely, for sure. But it's okay. My whole family did a good job collectively, and outside of my family, there were a lot of guys from, my dad's neighborhood that really looked after me. I can't really, I give it to my mom, but I give it to the whole community because it takes a community to grow one person. My mom's not around me 24/7, but there's other people around me holding me accountable for different aspects of my life, whether it's me being outside and how I carry myself in public, me playing basketball, or me in school, like, some of my teachers that held me accountable. So my mom is definitely the biggest one, but my family and, the guys in that neighborhood that, that I grew up with.
Okay. Takes a village.
Yeah, it does.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I think it's awesome how you said how it comes into perspective that even though your mom wasn't a part of your everyday thing, you were able to see so many people invested in you. And it was like, man, like, whatever this is, this kid, we believe in the potential. And I think it's awesome that we're in that position now to make that impact to somebody else, especially the young kids. Exactly. And so I think it's inspiring that you say, a community, because it's important. Everybody does play a specific role, a specific tone, a specific, play that affects our community. So I really appreciate your answer on that. On the next part, thank you. On the next part, what we have is the next question that says, what do you think your unique skills are that have helped you become successful? And what I mean by that is, we all have spiritual gifts. God has given us spiritual gifts. And at times we don't realize them that it is. At times I tell my kids, like, hey, even playing ball could be a spiritual gift because that could be a connection to someone who is seeing you by action, by the way you treat them. You could be this ball player who is humbled and, can hoop, and he gave you that talent.
Right.
So I want to ask you, what do you believe, God's given you on that aspect, and what you believe, has, you see it, like you see your skill and you're like, man, I'm hanging on to this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Probably number one, my connection with people. I won most talkative in high school, and nice. It's helped me along the way. Like just at college, like I would sit there and one of the maintenance technicians, like I had a whole slew of maintenance technicians that I was like tight with. Like I would sit there and I would walk back to my dorm, like, man, I'm about to take a nice hour and a half nap and get up. That whole hour and a half I just spent talking to them. Aww. Like I seen them on the bridge and we'll just sit there and talk. So, if I see somebody in the cafeteria or on the elevator, somebody random just in regular day life too, they look sad, I'll go sit and talk to them and try to, help them out. Like I just, I hate seeing people down, and I feel like everyone should have someone to talk to.
That extra mile. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, connecting with people is so big, and a lot of people don't have anyone to talk to, and I think it's just a missing thing that's going on in the world right now.
Very true.
That gift of gab. I wish I had it. Do you teach it, by the way? Because I'll sign up for those lessons. I'll be there ASAP.
That's my new course. It's coming out in 2021 to get the gab.
All right, I'm copping that immediately.
Why'd you stop? I know you kind of explained a little bit about, the wear and tear on your body and things like that, but what led you, I miss the game every day. I know that I can speak for Daniel and Melly as well, just missing, for the love of the game, you know what I mean? But why did you stop? I mean, everybody has a different story, you know what I mean? So,
Mhm. So, all right, so we're gonna get into the deep part of it now. So, the college grind was a little bit different. I walked into it knowing what to expect. I walked into it with the right mentality. I walked into it playing and trying to be confident like I was the best player, but working like I'm the worst player.
mhm.
So, I had the right mindset. Um, freshman year kind of got set back because of so they actually, like, the NCAA goes back and they check your grades from high school. So my physics grade, for some reason, they went back and pulled one of the A's I got out of physics because so geometry was my biggest struggle. And I had a great GPA that I graduated with. I graduated over a 3.5. So geometry I couldn't figure out. So I got two D's in geometry, and I knew I had to get two A's in physics. They actually went back and pulled one of my physics grades. They pulled the A, and I mean they did this in like October. So get there in June. This came in October, right before the season starts. Pull my grade, and they put in the D from geometry. So it made me ineligible by negative point 0.25. Like the difference between that D and a D plus. Like I was ineligible by that much. So I had to sit out that whole entire year. So I come back sophomore year, and now I grew. So I went from about 5'11" to 6'4". So I grew. I'm trying to get comfortable with my body now in a new position. So that year was great. We had a lot of success. One of my teammates, he ended up getting drafted after that season was over. But we were ranked in the country. So that top 25 ranking, we were actually uh, number 28. We were 3 slots away from cracking the top 25. So I mean, we started off the season 12-0. We had a great season. So that year I had a lot of ups and downs during the midst of the season. Like, now that I'm actually in the midst of the season, I had more classes. My freshman year, I kind of made my schedule easier so I can get into the flow of basketball and stuff and really see how it is. But I didn't get that because of the NCAA suspension. So now sophomore year, I have 6 classes. I'm taking like finance, chemistry lab, like just tough classes to be taken along with my schedule. My day started at 5 a.m. One of my assistant coaches woke up at 4:30 in the morning. He would get to the gym by 5 a.m. and we would do an hour-long ball handling workout. So my day is starting at 5 a.m. every day from that point on. And so I'm doing like 6 hours of working out a day. And then I was kind of trying to figure out how to study with this. I was drained and exhausted, so my grades were down. So that season goes by, come that summer. Now the fall season's coming up, and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling better than I ever had before. Sophomore year, I had a lot of fear about making mistakes and stuff, and I kind of played uptight. So I didn't play to the best of my ability. So junior year is about to come that fall. They find out my grades. Now this is the university. They found out my grades. I got suspended from the team again for the whole entire season, my junior year. So now I'm missing my junior year. And so that whole year goes by. I get back on the team. And then like that year, it was just like, it was draining. I had a bunch of new guys on the team. Like I still had some of my best friends on there, but we had like, 6, 7 new guys. Guys had transferred out my sophomore year. So that year I was suspended. I didn't get to see the new guys. These new guys weren't, no disrespect to them, but it just wasn't the same. They weren't going through as hard.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the same brotherhood that we had before. So it was just draining, and I'm trying to get back in rhythm. I don't feel like my game is up to par. I feel like I lost a step. I feel like my IQ went away. So I just feel all out of whack. And I mean, I'm having like the worst month and a half, 2 months that you can have. Like at practice, I'm just like zoned out. And it was right before Thanksgiving break. And I was about to finally get my chance for the first time to actually probably start playing because guys started getting injured. And then I remember sitting at the long table with my coach, and he knew something was on my mind. So he told me to take the 2 weeks off. He was like, take 2 weeks off, go to Thanksgiving with the family. And I sat right there at that moment and I said, I'm just done. I'm walking away from the game. And that was it. It was like kind of cut and dry. And to his credit, he's such a great guy. He sat there and talked with me for like 15 minutes. And he was asking me, are you sure? Are you really sure about this? Do you want to do this? Like, don't quit right now because you're feeling emotional. Like, take some time away, be away from basketball for a little bit and clear your mind. But just me being, I was like 20 at the time, 21. Like, you're still like in a mindset of a kid at 21. So all my decisions are impulsive. So I just walked away from it. And what's weird about it is as soon as I got upstairs and I started walking outside back to my apartment, I knew I was making a mistake. And all I had to do was turn around and go back downstairs and just say, let me just take the 2 weeks off. But something wouldn't let my body turn around. Like, I don't know. Like, I was in a weird, like, mental space during that time. And it's something that I definitely regret all the time. Like, it was probably like the worst decision that I could have made at that time. Cause, I do have friends on there, and the guys that, that were new, I'm good friends with those guys to this day. So I should have just gave it a chance and stuck it out. Like, I needed to figure out myself instead of blaming it on outside things. And I mean, there's some days I wake up now and I'm still thinking about, like, man, what was I thinking when I made that decision? Like, it's tough. It's so tough.
Yeah.
No, it is definitely tough. I've definitely felt burnout. Kevin was there to experience it. I think my senior year, there we hit a spell where I was just like, man, this is even stupid. And in the heat of the moment, you're just like, man, I can't take this. But I get you. Now, Coach, we know you have the skills development program, Primeletics. Have that going on. A bunch of other things, but what's the end goal for you? I know we obviously want to grow Primeletics. We have the gift of gab coming out as well. But that being said, what's the end goal?
I want Primeletics to be, one of the top training companies in the country, in the world. Actually, I want different athletes to feel like they can come in. I want to make it universal with all sports. I want to give people a place that they can come work out, it's just a safe haven. Sports are a safe haven. I want to make sure, a lot of these guys are younger now, and they need training, not only physically, but they need training mentally. And I want to be able to do that, aside from training the elite high school, elite college, and the pros. I want to get into with some of those high school players and make sure that I could teach them life skills and stuff too, as well. So I want to have this company, and I want to branch off different parts of it so that it's more than just a training facility. It's almost like a second home, So that it's so hard to put it into words of like what I'm trying to do. Because I'm trying to do so much. Like, I have that business management mindset where I'm like 10 years ahead of like, okay, this is how I want everything done. Like, I'm rarely ever thinking about the future. And that's, that's my problem sometimes. But, I want it to be huge. I want this company to be able to reach different people and help them accomplish their goals, whether it's basketball, sports, or just trying to go to college and make something out of their lives,
Okay.
And I'm glad you said the word reached, because we're big fans of Devontae Friga, and just him playing on YouTube and just watching, and how he just said, D3, man, that's just a title. Let me show you, and it was just really cool. Like that inspiration. I just wanted to ask you, whenever you reached, or did he reach out to you, or how did you guys come around, besides the fact that we know you guys are in Ohio together? Did you guys play against each other? Did you guys grow up together? How did that come about? And how was the experience whenever you guys did train together?
So Devontae, he lives far away from me. He's almost close. He's like about 2 hours away from me. So, and he's way younger. So I'm 29. Devontae's like 22, I think. So, I watched some of his stuff. I really liked his game. And it was crazy. I watched one of his videos, and then I went to go play in the league that he's always playing in out in Strongsville.
Yeah.
So I go out there, and he's there. He's just at the league, and then he stops. I say, "What's up?" to him, and I talk to him. I'm like, "Hey, let me get you in the gym, just for a training session." And then, he gave me his number, and then we just took it from there. Like, it was like he came up with no problem. He texted me back. We came up, did a training session. He's almost like he's like a brother already. Like, he's like a little brother in a sense. Like, he's just a chill guy. He's very humble for all the success he's having. I mean, not too many 22-year-olds get to make basketball their profession if they're not playing pro basketball already. Like, I know he's going to play pro basketball, but he's already in a good place. Like, anyway. So, we talk now, and I just texted him the other day, told him, good luck with his trials, because I know he's in Texas right now getting ready for his pro trial. So, and he'll be fine down there. He's just a great character guy, but he's an extremely hard worker. And I think that's what people miss out about him. Like, they think he's just this quote unquote YouTube hooper, but I mean, the guy can really play. He can really play.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, it's awesome to hear you say that as his, I guess, one of his trainer coaches. You're able to see his abilities and what he can still do and what he already does. So that's really awesome. I mean, it even gives me, just goosebumps hearing that you had that experience, because that's just so cool to be in the flesh with somebody who is dedicated and devoted to get where he wants to get to. So I know the boys want to ask a question about that. Before we move on, I'll give you guys the time.
Well, I thought, the fact that, you were able to say yes to this interview, and having that connection with him, I just thought it showed a lot about your character as well. And just, what kind of person you are. And like, how you said, you're just trying to get, everybody to have basketball and have that connection to be their safe haven. So it's like, I definitely got that connection when I texted you and had that connection with you. I definitely got a chance to meet Friga too out in, when he came to San Antonio. I got to meet him for a little bit. And no, he's definitely a hard worker. He's a great personality, you know what I'm saying? And I've been following him, and he's honestly, he's motivating. He motivates you to want to be better and want to hoop, So the last question for me that I'm going to give to you is, why do you think that some talent goes unnoticed?
Well, I think location is a huge part. It depends on where you live at. So right now I had two guys from Lakewood that I think are going to be huge. Like, one of them graduated a year prior to 2018, 2019, so 19 grad. So, Tommy Salah, he's big time player, but he's in Lakewood, so no one knows about him. So he's at D2 powerhouse in Florida at Nova Southeastern. And then, Nate Mims, like, remember those two names. Like, don't be surprised now they added an extra year. So don't be surprised in 5 years if you see in the draft, like, Nate Mims and Tommy Salah are sitting in the draft. Like, I told you guys here first, like, you got the scoop. So remember, you guys got the first scoop. So throw this video out and get your credit for it.
Yeah.
But
Coach D.
So, like, the location is so big. Like, there's so many good players, but whether the high school that they're at, believe it or not, a lot of coaches don't believe in exposure. And a lot of coaches don't know how to give exposure. And a lot of coaches don't believe in the social media. Like, some coaches, even young coaches in their, 30s and 40s, they don't believe in social media. they don't believe in putting highlight tapes and stuff out there. They don't reach out. So I think a lot of kids they get slept on is the term that they use now. And a lot of people don't get to see them play, or the talent level that they're playing against gets confused with. Like, I know in our conference we play a bunch of slow guys. They play half court. They're usually D3 players. So like, my guys never get any credit because my guys are all giants. I had one year where the shortest guy in my big lineup was 6'5". So we're playing a team with a guy who's tall, with a team where the tallest guy is like 6'3", 6'4". So, people don't give that credit, but I'm like, no, these kids are skilled and they can play. So I just think as a coach, you kind of got to tap into your LeVar Ball, you got to tap into that, and you got to be loud and blast your kids. Like, if you're doing it for your kids, that's all that matters. Like, I just think like location matters and how much exposure you get. Luckily the kids now are smarter, so they post highlights of themselves all over, and then that starts trending because people start sharing it, and it happens. I mean, they were just talking about the kid from Ohio University that just the point guard, and I actually watched him practice last year. He averaged 2 points a game in high school, and then he went to a prep school because he played in the AAU game with his friend after they graduated, and he was enrolled at a college as a journalism major. He got exposed, and then he goes to this prep school and he blasts his own highlight tape. He's playing on the C team, so the third team at his prep school that he's at, and he just blasts his highlight tape off Twitter, and then it gets a share. Then more people start sharing. And then now these young assistant coaches see him, and they're like, "Oh, this kid can play!" And then boom, opportunity. So, like, the exposure is the biggest thing why kids go unnoticed. Ja Morant, perfect example. Nobody knew about Ja Morant.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Think about it. That coach at Murray State wasn't hungry that day, and I think the story was like he was looking for a bag of chips because he didn't get a lunch that day. He was looking for a vending machine, saw Ja Morant playing one-on-one with the kid in the back gym away from the AAU tournament that was going on, and then he watches him. And then he picks up Ja Morant, who's now the rookie of the year. So, like, just think about how crazy. It's all about exposure for these kids. Like, there's some diamonds that we've never heard of.
True.
That's very deep, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because on that next question, I wanted to ask you on your personal testimony of, as a teacher, as a AD, I just want to know what it is that for high school as a student, like the maturity level, like, did it click for you quick? Did it help you? For example, here it says, what did you do during your high school career to get mentally ready and committed towards your D1 journey? And I just wanted to know, like, was it like a push from somebody? Was it something that clicked for you? Was it some advice that you can give to some of our high school listening podcasters? Because there's a lot of them that are actually learning from and more about what you're sharing with us. And I really think it's important for people to see that this is a job that people are really going for. And the passion could be enough, but it takes more. And so I just wanted to know, like, what did you do for this path?
So I'll give you a little example. Like, for the kids that, I come encounter with, being uncool is the common goal. Like, be uncool. Like, if somebody says that's lame or whatever, perfect. Thank you. That's all I needed. So like, I got cut from my team freshman year. They asked me, did I want to be a practice player, the manager, water boy, and stat boy, basically, of the team. But I still got to practice. All I heard out of that sentence was, I get to practice. I was like, man, if I get to practice, I'm doing everything that the team does. So these guys are equal with me as far as like the workout we got for the day. Then when I go home, if I work out on my hoop at home, I could get twice the workout they got. So it might not happen this year or next year, but at some point their talent level and mine, like I'm gonna pass them.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Like you have to tap into your own mentality. And the biggest thing that kids don't have now, and it's just because of the way it is, like they don't have imagination. If you can't imagine, like they don't go outside and play with toys anymore. They don't play with action figures in their room and make up a whole story plot to the action figure. Like I used to have a Power Rangers fighting the wrestlers, and I had a whole war going on. Like, or outside making up games. Like when you had that imagination, boom, what am I trying to do? So in high school, I was literally imagining myself like I need to be at this level. So what can I do? So, okay, that's the practice side of it. Now in the summer playing street ball, my mentality, I'm the youngest guy on the court. So now I have to learn how to play my role because these guys are better than me right now. They're older than me. I give them the ball. So now I got to learn how to play my role. I got to learn how to work hard to gain their respect. Okay. So boom, that's another element. So now I got to, take no for it. I got to learn how to take no for an answer when something bad happens. I got to learn how to, play my role and be respectful and work hard. And then I got to put in hard work. So like during the summers, I caddied at the caddy shack. So I would get up at 5:30 in the morning. I would get out there by 6. I would have my ball. So I would ball handle until it was time for me to go out for a round of golf and caddy. And then as soon as I came in, I would either play somebody one-on-one that day, somebody different, even if they weren't good. And I played them for their money, for their round of money. I didn't want the money, but I knew if I said, hey, I play you for the money, they would make them play hard.
Down. Yeah.
Yeah. If I beat them, I still let them keep their money.
Yeah, I did.
So I did that. And then as soon as I would get done, I would dribble the ball home. So now when I got home, eat real quick, I would do a little workout. My grandma lived on a hill. I would just dribble up and down the hill, and then we go play basketball all day. So I had to learn a work ethic, and then just all that stuff just came together. Like
I'm just glad that all of this doesn't sound easy. Like I just want the listeners to hear you really just describe that this isn't easy. This is all in, this is what all in means.
This is gold you're giving us.
Yes. Thank you.
No, and to be honest, so all that stuff was hard. I'm talking about it was hard. When I got to college, it was 20 times harder. Like that stuff, it prepared me this much for what I was really in for. Like to really like that mental thing, that 90% mental is the realest thing ever because you get your workout for the day and you look at the sheet and you like, oh my goodness, I got 3.5 hours of practice or I got an hour like weightlifting session. I just explained this for the first time last week. You mentally have to leave your body when you're in these workouts. You're there just enough to hear what they're saying and do it. Physically, you're there, but mentally you have to leave because if you sit there and think about what you're doing, you're gonna stop. You're gonna stop.
Sounds like that friend anxiety, because that's what it sounds like. Oh man, that's crazy just to hear your story like that, and just so raw enough to the kids to really see like, man, this is what a forward step would look like, and knowing that this is the journey I need to take. I'm hearing the right stuff. So thank you for sharing that with me.
I like everything that you said, Coach. I really like your work ethic. I feel like, nowadays with the millennials that, they just don't emphasize work ethic that much. Like how you said, they just focus on, I just want to be that guy on TV. and they don't understand how hard it is to actually be that person on TV. Right. But I love that you've established, work ethic, and you've established, what it takes to achieve a goal. And I guess that kind of it transitions straight into my question that I have for you, which is, what's a crucial information for life that you right now would tell yourself, a 20-year-old? As a 20-year-old, you were explaining to us all your stories that, the decision that you made, how you felt, I just can't turn back. I don't know why, but I can't turn back and walk back into coach's office and tell them that I'll take that 2-week break. So what would you you're 29 right now. What would you tell yourself if you can look yourself in the mirror and kind of tell a 20-year-old, either whether it be to do something different, or anything relatively to life? What would you tell them?
I would tell them fear doesn't exist. My coach, our coach at college, he's a big Christian. So when we went there, we went into that knowing, like, we prayed before practice, prayed before team dinners, prayed before a game, prayed after a game, team meal, like anything. So his favorite quote was, "Fear is not a trait of God," and it's true. Like, you should never be fearful to do something. So it's such a powerful statement that I would have to remind myself that, fear can't exist, because all these guys that you think that like are clowning you and stuff, in the back of their minds, they respect you. And that's so big for kids to know. Like, if somebody is, making fun of you for something that you do, that means they're watching you. And for somebody to really sit there and watch you for so much time, they have to respect you, whether they know it or not. Because you don't just watch someone that you don't respect. So I would say fear, and I would beat into 20-year-old Dimitrius's head, do not quit this basketball team or you're gonna regret it for life. Matter of fact, don't even take that 2-week break. Go tonight, go get you a burger, go get you a milkshake, sit down, and go talk to one of your friends that doesn't even play basketball. Go talk to them and go talk about life and stuff, and go have one of those deep talks that you're good at, and then go back, call coach tonight and tell them that you're ready to go tomorrow. Like, and just go back in there, because I feel like I played, I practiced, went to games and all that stuff, but I never put on that jersey and officially stepped on the court. So I feel like I missed a whole chunk of another side of growing, because, now you got to figure out how to actually play in the games and deal with people and react to fans and all that stuff. Like, I missed a whole chunk of really another aspect of life, it literally, like, if I think about it too hard, it bothers me. And I wish I could just hit that redo button all the time. Like, it just, like, I know all of us do, but I just wish I'm sitting here every day, hitting that redo button. Sometimes I have weird dreams where I'm playing in the game and I get that breakaway dunk. And as soon as I'm going up and I'm right there about to dunk, like, the fans go crazy, and then I just wake up. Like, it bothers you. It sits. I'd be lying if I say it wasn't on my mind still. And I just make sure that I pass it on to the kids now. And I'm like, and not only pass it on to the kids, but I coach them differently, so that way they don't have any fear and they feel comfortable making mistakes. I think that was my biggest thing. And I'll tell myself that last part, don't be afraid to make a mistake. Making mistakes is part of learning. And if you don't make a mistake, there's nothing that anyone can do to correct it and help you out.
Respectfully, I like all of your answers because it's written on your shirt. Apply
Come
pressure.
on, that's the motto,
I got that. I immediately, as soon as you were just saying all that, I was just like, fear has been a very sensitive topic for me the last 3 years. And I've had some, health conditions that I've gone through, and it was just brand new. I'm only 31, and it just hit me, boom, boom, boom. And when you said that, about, like, that's not a trait of God, I was just like, man, that's deep, to the point where, like, you're able to grow because now you can apply pressure that, you got no fear. You know what I mean? That's deep.
Come on, let them know. Let the people know.
Yes, I love that. And so I think that's just a great testimony overall. And I just want to say thank you for sharing that. In my behalf, just want to say thank you. Yeah.
No problem.
All right, well, if there's no more questions for Coach Lovett, we will get to the fun part of our last bit of our show. We're almost done. This part is called This or That, Coach. You'll have about a minute. We'll see how fast you can run your suicides. Just kidding. But here, we're gonna ask you. I believe it's 2, 4, 6, 8 questions, and then the last question will be something for you to build. Okay. So here's how we begin. I will pretend there's a timer on the clock. This or that, Coach Lovett. Is it pizza or hot dogs?
Pizza.
Do you pour cereal or milk first?
Cereal. Definitely.
Okay.
You stumbled on that M for a second. I wasn't sure what was going on.
Okay, respect. Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
West or Eastern Conference for the NBA?
East. I'm a Miami Heat boy.
Okay. Respect on that. I like the Miami Heat too. Okay, so then we have morning workout guy or in the evening workout person?
Morning for weightlifting, evening for basketball. But I would say morning.
Okay, morning. Okay, NCAA basketball or NBA basketball?
Woo.
NBA.
I gotta go NBA.
Okay, NBA. Okay. And then we have 2 last ones before the building. Is it the first one is AI or Kyrie?
AI all day.
Okay, we got some old school. Okay, and then
AI.
Okay. And then or Devin in the lab or Friga?
My man Friga, come on, baby. Friga. Come on, Friga.
Good answer. And then our last question for you is what would be your ideal all-time starting 5, the lineup?
Jordan at the point. D Wade, my favorite player at the 2.
Okay.
LeBron at the 3. I'm taking Timmy D at the 4.
Fundamentals.
I'm taking Shaq at the 5.
Ooh, okay. Which Shaq?
Okay.
Magic Shaq, Lakers Shaq, Miami Heat Shaq. Which one? Phoenix Shaq.
Is Orlando Shaq better than Lakers Shaq?
Just because.
In terms of skill?
Yes, but Lakers Shaq was dominant. But I'm a roll because he named my boy the Flash. I'm rolling with Miami Heat Shaq because he had a vendetta out to prove that win without the Lakers. So I like that. I like that animal.
Okay,
like
respectable.
Nice.
All right, Coach. Well, that is basically all of our time from my behalf before we all sign off and say our goodbyes to you. We just want to say thank you so much again. We hope that this is the beginning of a great relationship between all of us as family. We just know that you always have us and your support for Primeletics, who you are and what you're doing. Just keep doing you. And we just want to say thank you. And that's from me. So
Thank you.
On behalf of myself as well, I just want to say thank you. You've been, a lot like really open, for somebody who has never met us, and to us that speaks volume.
Appreciate that.
Are we just going to reach out, or how are we going to do this? So definitely, you definitely made it easier for us, and we wouldn't want anybody else to have that first episode. So we appreciate the confidence that you had in us to, to interview you, for you to get to know us and a little bit of where we come from. So, just a big thank you. It's humbling, and definitely hope to get to meet you in person someday.
Definitely. Danny Melke, I appreciate you guys having me on as the first guest. So when you guys say like a million subscribers on this stuff, like, don't forget, I was
You're the reason why.
No, I'm not the reason why. Just don't forget the small people, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you though. For real.
Definitely not.
What you guys are doing is big. It's big for the culture. I'm excited to see. I'm gonna be keeping up with it for sure and blasting everything you guys doing. This is definitely a relationship that we're all keeping for life.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. And then hopefully soon, with COVID being lifted, maybe us 3 can drive up to Cleveland and just hoop and go through one of your training sessions ourselves and just be like, hey, what we got in the tank left.
Let's do it. I'm down for it.
Yeah.
I actually been getting back in shape. So I've been working out. So we got a big charity game coming up for that P League that you see on Freega's channel before. So we got a big charity game going up. So that'll be huge. It's like B-Dot's gonna be playing.
Nice.
And Friga. So it's gonna be Team B-Dot versus Team Friga. So that's gonna be happening. And just to set the record straight for everybody that watched that Freaky game, that one-on-one game, he caught me out of shape. So now he motivated me to work out, and I seen what they said in the comment section about me. So I've been working, my jumper back on. Part 2 coming.
Yeah,
Isn't it the worst when your friends are the reason that you try and stay skinny? Not even that you want to be healthy. It's just your friend. You don't want them to laugh at you.
I know, you're like, man, but then there's people that you don't even know. Hey, reading the comment section is the worst thing that you could ever do when you make a video. Don't ever read the comment section.
Thank you for that.
Don't ever read it. It's the worst
Thanks for that
thing
advice.
ever.
Yeah.
The comment section will mess you up, but
Well, thank you for everything. We hope this is not the only meetup we have. Hopefully we can do a live with you in the future. Let us know also the name of your team, so that way we can sponsor it for your charity thing from our Undrafted. We're happy to do that. And just continue to connect. I guess Ohio's our new spot. We're excited.
Ohio is. I will get you guys the info, and make sure you guys stay tuned. We got that docu-series dropping in the next couple of weeks about my high school team. So we'll be taking you through the whole season, what that looks like with the COVID and having a regular team with no ESPN top 100 ranked players. So we've been working hard on that. So that's our new film and production on YouTube. So be on the lookout for that one.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah,
that's for your high school team?
That's for my high school team. Yep, it's in production right now. So
awesome.
All right.
Definitely be tuning into that.
Coach, well, we'll go ahead and let you go. Thank you again. We wish you a very restful night and a great weekend as well. So we'll
appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Hey, you too, sir.
You
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
And thank you so much again to Coach Lovett and to you guys. You know, this was our first show, so show us a little bit of love. Definitely a work in progress, but definitely excited.
We'll get there.
And again, if you guys have any questions, if you guys have any questions, either for us or about Undrafted or for Coach Lovett, all the links and stuff like that will be in the bio on the YouTube page. So if you guys have any questions of any sort, just let us know. And yeah, stay tuned. We have a lot of great guests coming up, and hopefully you guys are able to support us and enjoy it just as much as we did.
Thanks a lot, brother. And with that being said, for announcement for next week, if you are a fan of Big Baller Brand, you want to be posted and tune in for our guest next week, which is going to be fantastic with Coach Metz. Okay, Coach Metz will be our guest next week, and we can't wait to sit down with him and all of his encounters and successes. So, gentlemen, this is Roll Call signing off. This is Coach Mel.
This is Danny.
And this is Kevin, and we are your Undrafted podcast crew.
Good night, familia.